Hi everybody, Angus Young here, Starspace. This is a new podcast which I'm really excited to kick off. It's really about giving regular people a platform to kind of shine their light and to serve the greater good. So this is my first guest. This is Alistair. He is my friend and internal alchemist, and so spiritual alchemist. So I guess most people are thinking, what the heck is that? What is a spiritual alchemist? So maybe we can just start with that.
Yeah, so probably best starting with what most people think when they hear about alchemists. It's like people in laboratories messing about with like concoctions to try and create gold, the old
Mm,
lead into gold thing.
mm,
But the truth of it is, it's like that's an externalized version of what it truly means.
mm,
The inner alchemy is the true alchemy of the lead into gold is changing physical carbon-based matter into light, which gold represents. It's like you could say like gold is associated with the sun,
mm,
and of the sun, each of the planets um, have like a representation of uh, a metal which goes with them, you know.
mm,
So the sun represents the gold, and it also could represent the idea of the Christ energy, if you would like to put it in that
mm.
terminology. Um,
Beautiful.
so yeah,
Mm. I love
that's the
that.
true meaning of it.
Mm. And the planets represent other metals. Is that what you're saying as well?
Yeah. So the moon's silver, and then you've got also Mercury's quicksilver, which is effectively mercury
Hmm.
in its liquid state.
That's beautiful.
Um,
Really
but
cool.
and you also Saturn represents the lead. Mars is tin, Venus is copper. Yeah.
Mm. And I remember reading that was one of my first books I read, The Alchemist by Paulo
Oh yeah,
Coelho. Have you
great
read that
book.
one?
I have indeed. Yeah, it's one of the
Mm,
books that I did share. It was on my list
mm,
that I shared on Facebook.
mm.
Was The Alchemist. Yeah, quite a few books on alchemy.
I think that's a book that kind of starts people on their journey a little bit. It just opened for me. It just opened up a new world, and part of it felt really true. You
Mhm.
know. Um.
Yeah, I mean, the whole premises of that, from my perspective, was he goes seeking outside himself for all these answers and goes on all these travels, and then discovers that the truth that he was looking for was already inside him.
Mm,
It comes full circle back to that inner
mm,
knowing
mm.
after
And
all that journeying.
yeah. And I guess that really relates to the human experience as well, isn't it? We kind of, we're born into a family, and we're always, I guess, to some extent, looking for happiness. Be it through our career or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
we seek for happiness outside ourselves because we think that that's where we'll find it, in that
mm,
person
mm,
or in that job or in that
mm,
possession.
mm,
All these outer material things, but true happiness can only be uncovered within.
mm,
It's
mm,
like tapping into that, self-love, and
mm. I think people in general, as well, they become talking on myself and my journey, become accustomed to like certain ways of being. And it's like life gets busy, and then we just kind of cope with what we have in front of us, and it's like we don't always have time
Yeah.
to look within. And of course, over like lockdown, for example, that is when the world had a couple of years just to, I don't know,
Do some inner
meditate and go within.
do some inner work. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
I was lucky enough to be able to like put myself in a position where I could do that, a lot of that deep eternal work previous to that, because I had an incredibly stressful life, and I used to pretend I was happy by drinking,
mm,
basically numb out, how unhappy I truly was, just to like hide that fact,
mm,
um, and then it reached a point where it was like I decided I was going to give up drinking, and then I was decided also to leave my job at the time as a wine specialist. Um, and it was after that I created that time and space to be able to focus on getting a meditation practice, looking after myself better health wise, and obviously the meditation helped me not go back to the alcohol. And because I was in a less stressful position by being able to leave my work position, I was I was able to like basically not drink now for what will be nine years beginning of January
mm. That's
this
amazing,
year.
man. Yeah, an amazing accomplishment. Yeah, you're talking about filling a void there.
Yeah,
And that's what we do. That's what humans do. If there's a space there, we'll fill it up, and it's like, yeah, and it becomes addictive, doesn't it? Addictive. You could become
yeah,
involve all sorts of addictive behaviors and things that don't really serve us, and it's a waste of time, but it helps us get by. So it's like you have a choice. Do I want to live like this and get by and continue pretending,
yeah.
or do I want to, or is there another way? Is there
Mhm.
do I want to look? Is it now time to look within, look, and face your fears? Because let's face it, when we stop and when we're on our own and we can feel them, it's like now we're being invited to look at all parts of ourselves, and this is what alchemy is. We're going in and we're feeling the fear, and
Transmuting it
yeah, exactly,
into like higher frequencies. Yeah,
into love and joy and freedom and
yeah, higher vibes.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when we talk about like DNA, for
Hmm.
example, they've got what 10 million or 10 billion strands of, which equates to 10 billion miles of DNA, which is like I don't know how many times around the world. Um, but then that very much links to like our past, like where we originate from.
Yeah.
And our ancestors, and so it's like, and what they haven't healed within their life, or what's happened in their life, if they've not met it, and it obviously continues to get passed on and passed on and passed on.
Yeah.
Um,
The buck stops with us. We've got to like
mm,
that. Basically ancestral trauma,
mm,
all that conditioning that's been taken on through our genetic lineage. We're the ones who are being asked to go in and look at it and love it
mm,
back into wholeness again, so we can live a happy and fulfilled existence with a deeper inner peace within our souls.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. World peace. I guess that all starts
One
with
day.
ourselves, isn't it?
That's it. It starts with ourselves. Yeah.
Mm.
It's yeah. Be the change you want to see in the world, as Gandhi said.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I actually remember a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago, I first kind of got invited to, I guess, like a space where I would meet my shadow, meet my fears, and at first I was just like, I was very much like light, you know, and I wouldn't really go into my dark side too much. But yeah, I got
Mhm.
space held for me, I guess, sort of 2, 3 years ago. I was doing my kind of therapy training. Um, and I actually remember writing down, like, oh no, I don't want to. There's no point in this. What's the point in me going there? It doesn't feel good. I only want to feel good, you know? But it was a container of like 20, 30 other therapists in training.
Mhm.
And so we met with our fears, our darkness. And that's when I guess my or part of my journey really started. And it was linked to like childhood, childhood memories. Like all of us human beings have memories from the past where we can go into, you know, um, and it's about reconnection to those parts that we've kind of repressed, the parts we're ashamed of, the parts we don't really want to show to the world because the world and the way it is doesn't praise this particular behavior. It praise all this, positivity, blah blah blah. But like, being vulnerable is being weak, especially amongst males.
Yeah, it can be
Um,
perceived that way, but it's really like an inner strength.
mm,
But if you the problem is like people, if they appear too vulnerable, people take advantage of it and can, like, think, oh,
mm,
they're a easy target, you know. So it's, yeah, got
I
to get the balance right to be able to kind of
yeah,
uh, hold your own space as well, but also
yeah.
be able to be vulnerable enough. It's a tricky balance, you know.
It definitely is, and it's like anything, it's learning, isn't it? It's like when a kid rides a bike or learns to swim, and it
Yeah.
takes time. And we're obviously adults, and I think we part of us have got resistance to actually learning, which is just so.
Well, a lot of us say it, we're adults, but when you look at things like, say, on the political scene and that, the emotional intelligence of people is not very high. You know, it's like
Mm.
they're adults and but their emotional maturity of a child.
Yeah, and it's because I mean, they too are
Unfortunately.
they're they're in their childhood wounds,
Yeah, because they're
and they're still
damaged
acting out
and
on
yeah,
the world
and
stage.
they don't know how to self love themselves back into that more healed state. You know.
Mm.
It's I mean, I remember like hearing a phrase, I don't know where it originates from, but it like really stuck with me. It's like you should speak to yourself like you would speak to a child, you know. It's like you wouldn't, if a child does something like wrong, or while it's learning and that, you
Mm.
wouldn't kind of
Yeah.
be unkind to it.
Mm.
But how do we speak to ourselves when we do something that we're not like happy about?
Mm.
It's like we're like
Uh,
maybe feel guilty, or we're like, oh,
mm.
I can't believe I've done that. We can be quite cruel to ourselves.
Yeah, and I
And if,
think I think with these politicians too, and the people that are in charge of our system, of our economy, in that kind of area of life, it's not okay to to show vulnerability, show weakness, and there's not really like a space to talk about how we feel, is there? I mean,
Well, there's a lot more spaces like that emerging now, but certainly we need a lot more on a global level if we're going to like make the kind of change that we need to impact the transformation that is needed on a planetary level.
Yeah.
Which is why all these different spiritual modalities, which we all like study, are great tools, you know. But one of the things that I've noticed is like people in the like spiritual community, there's so much different like avenues that people can go down. They kind of get stuck in that searching, like, and then they don't end up doing half as much inner work as they should be doing. Which
Yeah,
is
because
why I love
there's
books like the Gene Keys, because that gets like really deep into understanding like the shadow from like 64 different perspectives, and it gives you a really like deep insight into all the different wounding and things that we've traumatized ourselves through generations,
aye.
the extent of the healing that's required. So yeah,
Well, we're talking about the shadow, and like if we don't have the awareness of our shadow, or that behavior is coming from a shadow, then it'll obviously just continue and play out. And that's of course why, why there's a war in Russia,
so
why
it's
there's
just
like,
unconsciousness. Yeah,
yeah, so it's like the gene keys it's a system, isn't it, for actually, so it encompasses the whole of the human psyche, and every kind of shadow
yeah,
aspect. So there's
yeah.
64. For those who don't know about the gene keys, there's 64 keys, and if you type in your data to the website, it's genekeys.com, you get a free chart. Type in your date of birth, blah blah blah. You get four main keys: your life purpose, evolution, radiance. What's the other one?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I've utilized it kind of in a different way. I know like the Gene Keys has its own systems, and
Mm.
I think they are very helpful for people. But I like kind of utilize it how it works for me.
Aye.
We're combining it with astrology
Mm.
and placements where your planets are, and then just feeling into the energetic influence,
Mm.
which
Mm.
is how I incorporated it into my readings when I've been doing it.
Mm.
Um, but it's based on the I Ching, which is the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, which you can like place around the zodiac. And basically they relate to the 20, I think the 23 codons within your DNA. So you have the different like codon groups within the gene keys that's split into that
Mm.
as well.
Mm.
And
Mm.
like so all the different shadow aspects are what you work on first so you can reveal your gift.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
you
So
have to
what?
share with the world.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what it is so you look at your like the shadow aspect of it, and within the shadow there is a gift,
There's a gift contained within that. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then after the gift there's the
It's,
city. So there's the highest expression.
yeah, that's like the divine gift.
Mm.
Yeah. Or like enlightened. It's
Mm.
just basically, well, if you look at it, it's kind of like it's sharing what in words what enlightenment is,
Mm-hmm.
like full awareness, real self-realized sort of state, and
Mm.
it's like depicting it from different angles, if you like. Um, but
Yeah, beautiful.
it's kind of for me, because I've read it like fully through a couple of times now, and when I've been working with it with readings, um, I've kind of like there's a kind of pattern to it to simplify it in a way. It's like, so the shadow is when you're in a like a polarized state in fear, and you're either like projecting that fear outwards into the world, or you're internalizing it. And it's also connected with being trapped in like brain polarization.
Prison.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then the gift is revealed when you're able to still the mind and then get into the heart. The gift
And
is
you've got the
revealed.
awareness that you're actually in it.
Yeah. And then beyond that is the complete integration of the heart vibrational frequencies with the brain frequencies. They come harmoniously integrated.
That's right. Yeah,
And
because you have
that's what
to.
opens you up to the acidic
Aye.
states, into that genius flow.
Yeah.
Because the heart frequency is overriding the monkey brain.
So it's like we have to. It's like we literally have to build new neural pathways, and it's like we're building a new body, really, isn't it?
You are, yeah. And I mean that's kind of the process that happens when you go through the like Kundalini, when it comes up and it like raises up to the top of the like 33rd vertebrae, and then it goes it will start like new neural pathways inside the brain, and like dissolve the old patterns.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, alchemy, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, it's you can self-heal yourself with it. Like from, and each different culture has it like taught from a different perspective. So you've got like Western alchemy and Eastern alchemy. For example, I've like been like practicing like Tai Chi for like the last 8 years. So I've read quite a bit on Taoist alchemy and getting into tune with that, like using the chi flow to like do the microcosmic breathing. And so from a Taoist alchemy kind of perspective, it's like different parts of the body relate to the different elements. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got like the cauldron, which is actually like the Dantian area. Yeah. That's
That's
like
your
where
power.
the waters are, that power center. And it's ignited by the flame of the point between like your anus and your genitalia. It's like that point is like the where the fire is that heats the cauldron.
That's beautiful, yeah.
And the lungs provide the like pressure to push down to like kind of fan the flame. And then so like the alchemy happens inside the cauldron. It comes up the spine. The circuit it goes up the front is like the magnetic circuit, and then you've got the electric circuit which goes around the back. And they've infused together. And that circuit's connected by putting the tongue to the roof of the mouth. So like when you're doing like Taoist breathing practices and Tai Chi and stuff, you're always told to like, put your tongue to the roof of the mouth when you're breathing in.
I remember first doing that maybe 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
ago. The
you do your
microcosmic orbit.
qigong. Yeah,
Aye. Yeah, I was up for 2 days because I couldn't sleep because I was so energized. There's so much energy running through my body. I was like,
so
what is
much
this?
chi, so much chi,
Yeah.
and you've got to learn how to ground it. That's another
Aye,
important
that's
thing.
right. Oh,
It's
big
like
time.
this is where meditation practice comes in.
Mm. And when I guess over in the West, we don't really learn about energy, do we, too much, and experiencing energy within our body.
Yeah, it's been more like an Eastern thing, but it's it's definitely becoming more widespread now
mm,
into more Western cultures. Because
mm.
there's so much depth of wisdom there within all these different um, systems of like Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, all these old um, wisdom teachings.
Well, they all point to one thing, and that is that
Yeah,
energy leads the way.
the deeper truth. Yeah, a lot
And
of it's metaphor for
aye,
um, inner archetypes
mm.
for us. Well, people
For me
take
and
these
my, mm,
literally.
aye.
Sorry, carry on.
I was just saying for me and my journey, it's been a journey to learn to like trust the energy because it's like you've got concepts in your mind and beliefs and patterns of behavior that you do, and then but the energy is just like if you learn to trust and surrender and flow to the energy, it's like slow. It's a slow thing, and it's like you're being guided by someone else. It's like that comes first, you know,
Hmm.
and then things just kind of unfold. Whereas if it's more mind based, um, you know, your head's down and you're just more like. But when you can
Yeah,
like, it's like a step back, isn't it? When you're in tune with your energy, it's like
surrendering.
it's a surrendering, and you're not
Yeah,
fighting anymore.
it's allowing getting you to your ego to get out of the way so you can um, just flow to where you're supposed to go.
Mm. You know what? I always remember just like fighting with myself. I'm sure people can relate to this too. Like just like having like mind battles with yourself. Like, and
Yeah,
it's like, and it's just,
definitely something I have to work with being a Virgo.
mm,
Oh, analysis paralysis. It's like just like
mm,
self-sabotaging yourself by like overthinking things and
mm,
just go around in like circles. That's why meditation was like such a like
mm,
great discovery for me because I always used to just go around in circles with thought patterns and just overanalyze everything, and it
mm,
would drive me crazy. It's like, um,
mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you know, it can be challenging as well, and that's why, of course, community, family, friends is so important on your journey too.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and there is the you know the spiritual ego. You talk about the ego. You know, it's like it's still there, isn't it?
yeah.
It's
It's
still
like
there.
I think the terminology like ego death's not helpful
Mm,
because you never ever kill the ego. It's more an integration of the ego.
hmm. Learning to be with it.
So then the ego then basically takes a back seat. It's still
Mm,
them. The driving force is more the soul's life purpose. It's
mm,
more in line with its greater goal, you know?
mm,
Kind of like riding shotgun in a car. It's like the soul says to the ego, you come along for the journey, but you sit in the passenger seat.
mm. Mm. Yeah, that kind of brings me to like masculine and feminine. For me, feminine's like, you know, it's more receiving and you're kind of,
The receptive state, yeah.
aye.
Yeah, the yin.
Mm. And I guess
Yeah.
masculine's more like movement and you're kind of, you know, you're in doing mode with the masculine, aren't you? So I guess in a
Yeah,
way you are more in your ego.
it's the active, yeah,
Mm,
definitely
mm,
state. Yeah. And we both have both within us. In fact, everything in the entire universe and esoteric teachings, it's like hermetic principles. can be reduced to masculine and feminine. Everything has its masculine and feminine quality. And the creation comes of the balance and the fusion of the two.
So, I mean, we're all born either a male or a female or somewhere in between.
Yeah,
But we also have,
energetically.
energetically, we do have male and female energies within us. And depending on our background, we're made up of, it could be anywhere. It could be 50-50, it could be 60-40. Depends on your chart as well, your astrology chart and everything.
Yeah, and that's where the elements come into, like fire, earth, air, water, because they're like considered either like electric or magnetic qualities. So magnetic qualities are those associated with those feminine type energies, like more emotional water energies, and the earth being Mother Earth, the nurturing energies. It's to do with the physical reality, and then the more like the fire and air are the more like active qualities, which like take action, They're more associated as more electric and energy and like masculine. And alchemy is being able to balance all four of those aspects.
So
And
feeling those elements within us, fire, air,
then
water,
and
earth.
transmute them from one into the other.
Yeah, because I guess we're literally everything. We are made up of earth, air, fire, water. That's what we're made up of, really, isn't it?
Yeah, everything, reality. And that's how we access more etheric levels of things beyond the physical, is the transmutation of those elements.
So if we come back to our original point, inner alchemy, the alchemist turning lead to gold. Like it is real. It's like,
yeah, it's literally, we do have like an inner sun inside ourselves. And I like that solar energy can be basically sparked and ignited, and so it radiates out into like our outer reality. That's the aim of like full transmutation, is to like be that living embodiment of the Christ kind of terminology,
And that's what Christ embodied, wasn't it?
Solar being.
And that's what Jesus Christ embodied, wasn't it? That Christ energy.
Yeah, that's what it like represents. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was able to heal with that. He was able to heal the sick, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, basically, once you've gone through that transmutation, you basically energetically have self-healed yourself, and you can transfer that by energetically like merging with other people's energy fields and being able to like that encoded frequency that you have, which is coming through from the source, which you're like that embodiment of, can then like be used for that intelligence to help heal others.
So with people, people with diseases, cancer, and that's a big one. It's people fear it.
Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, as Tesla used to say. So if you get the right vibrational, harmonious frequencies, you can pretty much heal anything. That's where we'll get to eventually accepting beyond mainstream science. Everything has a vibrational quality. like for example, like anything that's disease is just dis-ease. It's disharmonic. So it doesn't have a cohesive kind of vibrational quality to it.
mm,
It's
mm,
not, it doesn't like look nice and symmetrical geometrically,
mm,
right? Cohesive. And by putting certain frequency vibrations into that, you can like change it. Again, that's just another explanation of alchemy
mm.
from a different perspective.
And I guess all dis-ease lives within the human shadow of the collective,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
We
there to
make
be
ourselves ill
transformed.
just by our own thoughts, the power of our own thoughts. The whole
Mm,
placebo thing, you know.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you believe something to be true, you can like make that manifest if you like have a powerful mental focus on that.
Mm.
Mm.
And that's why your environment is so key, isn't it?
Yeah. No, but then you getting into kind of like epigenetic stuff like Bruce Lipton would talk about, you know,
Mm, mm.
about yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, Ali. Cool. Well, thanks very much for being my first guest on Star Space.
My pleasure.
Um,
Good to catch up
real,
with you, mate.
yeah, you too, man. And
So
I've
I was
had a
out of
reading.
time already.
Got a bit more time, but we've got. I had a reading with you, Ali, a couple of
Aye,
years ago. You link the gene
remember.
keys in astrology, and it's really handy to fuse those two together. So if anyone's watching this and fancies a reading from Ali, reach out to him. His YouTube channel is the Eternal Alchemist, and you're sorting your website out at the moment. But I'll put your
Yeah, I'm
email
working
also in the
on it.
notes
Been
below.
working on it the last couple of weeks. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But I'll get there eventually.
No worries, man. Any final words?
Um, I just want people to realize how important it is to do their own internal work and not focus about things outside themselves,
Hmm.
because we change the world one person at a time.
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautifully said, man. Really beautifully said. Thanks, Ali. We'll definitely have you on again sometime.
Okay, mate. Been a
Right.
pleasure.
Take care.
You too, brother. Bye.
See you, man.